And welcome to the Lindy Sports Post-Game Report. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by my special guest today, Joe Kelley. Well, Joe, today could have been a preview of the NFL playoffs down the road. I know Cam Newton said he honestly expects to see the Minnesota Vikings again, though. But what a whale of a ball game! Minnesota comes in today with the best record in the NFC. In case of having the home field advantage all the way through the Super Bowl. Panthers still have not ruled out a win in the division, still at least fighting for a playoff spot. This game goes right down to the end. It looked like the Panthers were in control, and lo and behold, here come the Vikings.
Well, I agree with you, Coach. The Panthers controlled the entire game up until about the last 6 minutes. And then it took a Cam Newton breakaway run at the end. The Vikings, they fought the entire game very hard. It was a great game.
You know, we talked about this. The Panthers won the toss today, elected to defer. They get the 3 and out by Minnesota on the first series, get the ball first time, second play of the game. Jonathan Stewart busts a 60-yard touchdown run. So, again, the Vikings pretty much from that particular point were in the mode of playing catch-up the rest of the way.
Yeah, that was huge to come out like that quick, hit that burst up the gut for the entire 60 yards it was, I believe. And it was impressive to see the offensive line that early just create that hole. And they did that the entire day, really.
And we actually got to have a little fun on that one, too, that we saw Jonathan Stewart get to the goal line, and as Cam commented, maybe we're making progress with him there. He gets to the goal line and just falls back. And he actually has – Jonathan's kind of quiet and reserved, but for him to show a little emotion or a little celebration, that was kind of funny.
It was funny. I didn't expect that when he did the snow angel into the back of the end zone, falling backwards. That was pretty cool to see. Impressive to see.
Today, it looked like the Panthers had the ball bounce their way. They had a couple of cases right there. I can think of one, and we talked about this during the game, where they had the touchdown. That it looked like Minnesota had a touchdown. And, again, you were 2 for 2 on reviews today.
Yeah, I was. I got lucky.
But the player did not have control, and as a result, Minnesota would have taken the lead at that point. They have to settle for a field goal, and they're still down a point, I think 14-13 at that point. And then later, one of the strangest plays that we've seen, when Kasem was in the pocket, he went to throw, and I thought that it was a deflected ball at the line of scrimmage or just a bad throw, but it was a forward fumble about 10 yards down the field that the Panthers were able to recover and get points off of that too.
That's a great example of two of the most talked about rules in the NFL is the control of a reception at a touchdown. The ball just barely moved a hair, after he dropped to the ground, caused it to be overturned. And then the tuck rule type, where if the ball is going forward, the ball just twisted a hair before his arm started to go forward. Therefore, they called it fumble. So they for sure got the good bounces today, definitely.
Didn't look like the good luck was going to go the whole way for the Panthers. Going in the last 6 minutes, the Panthers had a breakdown in the secondary and allowed Minnesota to throw a 58-yard touchdown pass. They lined up, got the 2-point conversion, and lo and behold, the pressure was back on the Panthers then. Carolina comes down deep in their own territory, and on third down throws a ball off the fingertips of McCaffrey that's intercepted and run back to the Carolina 6. So Minnesota with 3 minutes to go, in excellent position, first and goal at the 6. But you got to credit the Carolina defense came out and made one heck of a stand to only give up a field goal and, tie the game up. Looked like we were going to face overtime.
Coach, there were multiple times where the defense really came through today. There was a punt return earlier in I believe it was the third quarter, where they got the punt, and I think they started on about the 25, and they came out with 0 points there. Defense was strong there, and a few other times throughout the game, the defense never quit. On the turnovers, on the punt returns, they would either give up field goals or turnovers. That's what Coach talked about, and I believe Cam talked about that as well, that they tell the guys either turnovers or either field goals. That's it. And I believe they did that today. And they got them a win.
And we had a chance to talk with Captain Munnerlin after the game. I asked him, I said, what are you thinking? You're going out there, they've got 1st and goal to 6, game on the line, and exactly what they had been told to going out there, either turnovers or field goals, though. And that was an especially sweet win for Captain. The Captain's been a longtime friend with me back to his South Carolina days and all, though. But he especially enjoyed this because he said he's undefeated against former teams. Last year, about this time, he came in with the Vikings playing for Minnesota, and they beat the Panthers, and he had fun picking at Cam because he and Cam worked out during the offseason. He got the win with Minnesota last year. This year, he had the opportunity of being on the winning side, being a Panther again, and Coach Ron Rivera talked about what a difference he and Matt Khalil made in preparations this week, basically giving a lot of information to the Panthers about the Minnesota Vikings that they were able to use in game planning and strategy. It paid off having those two guys back from Minnesota as Panthers.
I think that's big. The NFL teams are transient. You know, players go from team to team, and I think it's a big help when you're game planning for a team to have a couple guys that just came over. If you don't think that's an advantage, I would disagree with you there. I think the game plans are a bit easier when you've got a couple guys from the other team, you know, on your side now. I think that's a big help.
Well, after the field goal tied the score, Joe and I had already come down to the field. We were kind of down here getting ready for post-game, and I basically told him, I said, we may be going back to press box if it's overtime up here, though. But the Panthers get the ball back with around 3 minutes to go, and just a great run on an option look. McCaffrey gets 5 on 1st down, and Cam keeps it on the fake option read. He kept it and took it about 60-something yards, 62 yards all the way down to the 6-yard line. And I liked his answer because I'm thinking the same thing. He claimed that he shifted back down to 3rd gear to let them tackle him because he didn't want to score too quick and give Minnesota the ball back with all 3 timeouts with the chance, though. But basically, if you know the story on this, Cam's got a friend who always gives him fits about getting run down. Cam got run down again by a very fast guy in the secondary. He was not trying to gear it down. He was motoring as fast as he could, but got brought down by the secondary of the Minnesota Vikings. From there, Jonathan Stewart on 3 carries that put him over 100 yards rushing on the day was able to go over the top for the touchdown, and then Carolina defense playing with a lot of enthusiasm, emotion after the goal line staying earlier, force a 4-and-out, and we're able to run the clock out.
Yes, and if Cam is watching this, I believe Cam kicked it down into 3rd. I believe that he's grown as a player.
You bought that.
I believe he has grown as a player. He's shown his maturity, and he knew that they had 3 timeouts left and that he ought to kick it down. I'm going to stick with that story with Cam.
Well, we had to have some fun with Cam in the locker room. I flashed him my Cam Newton sport coat with the ticket in here on that, and, of course, he had to give me some knuckles in response, and he got a kick out of that I still had my Cam Newton coat on. The Panther official said I better wear another one next week, too, for good luck. As the Green Bay Packers come to town, the Green Bay Packers with a huge win today, overtime win against the Cleveland Browns after being down 21-7, come back and win 27-21, and keeps their playoff hopes alive. And Aaron Rodgers, I'll say it right now, one of my favorite players since I'm a stockholder with the Green Bay Packers. I guess I'm Aaron's boss. But should make his return next week is what they're saying. We're in for a whale of a game, but the Panthers here started the first of a 3-game stand. They got 3 games left, 2 at home, 1 away. They still could win this division if things played out. If not, they could possibly get the upper seed on the wild card, maybe to host the wild card game.
I think the next few weeks will be a playoff atmosphere here in Carolina because Green Bay will have to win out, I believe. I believe they were 6-6 going into the game today, so they're 7-6 now. They got 3 games, and I think you'll have to get to 10-6. So Aaron coming back next week, I'm jealous. Wish I could be back here with you next week. I think it'll be a good game.
So, a happy day today. Cam Newton came out today with the brimless hat. We discussed his, to be honest with you, and again, I'm not trying to offend any of our Shriners, but he had on a hat, he looked like a Shriner. And Joe and I figured that this is in honor of today that the Shriner the Shrine Bowl week in Spartanburg, South Carolina, my hometown there, that the North Carolina-South Carolina Shrine Bowl game will be next Saturday. I'll get a free plug-in for that, though. But Cam looked like a Shriner in his red hat today, but he said that he was now the first person to
wear the brimless hat, and he gave credit to Andre 3000 of Outkast in Atlanta, being in GQ magazine, says that he saw it there first. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if this one catches on. Cam's got, I don't know. It's a tough one to watch.
Okay.
He wears. I love Cam.
So, we knew he took a long time getting dressed. He was going to have a wild outfit on. I will stick to the Cam Newton sport coats, but I ain't wearing a brimless hat. I'll stay with this hat I've got on today because it's about 30-something degrees, though. But that's going to wrap it up from Bank of America Stadium today. The Carolina Panthers are 31-20 more for victors over the Minnesota Vikings. Want to encourage you to go out and get your latest editions of Lindy Sports Magazine. Joe tells me he is a faithful supporter and buys many of the magazines.
You might be Aaron Rodgers' boss, but I feel like I could be your boss because I've been buying those since I was 12 years old. So, yeah, I think I'm supporting Lindy's pretty well.
Okay, so if you get a chance, not only they've got the pro football.
College and the pro.
College and pro and NBA and college basketball. So go check out your latest Lindy's magazines right there. That's going to wrap it up today. Until next week when the Packers come to town for Joe Kelley, I'm the coach, Dick Cox. Hoping you have a great week, and we'll see you next week from Bank of America Stadium. Goodbye, everybody.